Hello, BookTube. I thought I'd make just one extra video here. As you can tell, I want to start with a tech update. This is being filmed on a different machine. This is being filmed on a Lenovo N22 Chromebook. It's not a ThinkBook. It's, I think, a little later than that. I'm not 100% remembering the specs on it, but I wanted to give it a try. I'm actually looking at all of my Chromebooks. I had one of my young weightlifters over here the other day, and we took out all the technology and were just having a grand old time looking at it all. Really having a grand old time being in each other's company again. But I was telling him, you know, the usual thing that I've... Oh, the neighbor's dog is getting squawky. I was telling him same thing I've told him a million times, same thing I've told you a million times, which is that I don't have very elaborate needs for technology, which is kind of funny considering how much technology I have. A lot of the old Chromebooks that I have working cameras. This one strikes me as fairly sharp, but again, towards the blue end of the spectrum. And we were noticing that. This boy and I were noticing this the other day when we were checking all the cameras, and I asked him why that is. And apparently there is a technical explanation for it that I just don't know and that I didn't retain. I kind of like all the rest of this quite a bit. He actually asked me a question that quite a few of you have asked me on via email, because I leave my email on every video. That does not, for those of you who are new to the channel, that doesn't lead to a merch store. That's not a dead account that I never check. That's my email. I'm online working, typing, or reading all day long. So I'm happy to hear from you on any subject that you want to talk about. Where was I? What was I saying with that? Oh, right. When he was looking at all of these Chromebooks that we were powering up and digging into, and all the different laptops that aren't Chromebooks that we were digging into, he actually asked a question. He actually said, well, what are you looking for in a computer? This obviously means you're looking for something that you're not finding. And he's right. I would never tell a young weightlifter that they were right. They're bad enough as it is. But he was right, because I actually am looking for something, and I know this. I've known it all along. It's why I keep getting these $80 Chromebooks or $100 or $200. Whenever the thing is really cheap, I will give it a try. And the thing that I'm looking for is, for those of you who are comic book fans, you'll know right away, it's a mother box. I'm looking for a Macaulay Omnicon, you Legion fans out there. I'm looking for a Star Trek datapad, a machine that will do everything that I want it to do, so I don't need any other machine. A machine that will do all the document production, all the document sending, all the emailing, all the web surfing, but that will also film, that can handle anything, that has ports that can take memory cards or whatnot, that just the whole thing, just in one device. I kind of sort of have been looking for that, and that device have a form factor that I like. I haven't quite found it yet, but I don't think I've ever filmed a video on this N22. I can't remember really ever using this N22. The one standout, I mean, it's a nice solid plastic Lenovo Chromebook. The one unusual feature that it has, aside from it has rubberized borders, which I love, but its one unusual feature is that the built-in camera up at the top of the screen can move. It's on a bevel, so you can rotate it. You can point it straight up at the ceiling, in other words, so that the camera is not looking at you. I think that's kind of interesting. I don't think that's the reason that I got the machine. But one way or another, I'm curious to know how this works, and since I had the device up and running anyway, I thought I would do a video. So that is the tech update. This is filmed on a Lenovo N22. I'm mentioning it because my boy was pointing out to me sarcastically what a number of you have pointed out, which is that it's been some time since I bought a new laptop computer, or an old laptop computer, I should more likely say. It's been a while since I did that. I always manufacture a reason. I'm always looking for a new machine. I'm always looking to see if it will be the one machine to rule them all. But I also come up with other excuses. My MacBook Air, my 13-inch MacBook Air, for instance, had a couple of keys that looked like they were all worn out. They looked like they were about ready to crack. That was first the prompt to get a 13-inch Chromebook, and then a prompt for me to get an 11-inch MacBook Air, which is it's a perfectly fine machine. I think I have it right here. Yes, I do. I have it right here. It's a perfectly fine 11-inch MacBook Air, so that I could retire that 13-inch MacBook. And now the prodding factor, which is totally illegitimate, I know, but nevertheless, I may have a problem. But the prodding factor here is simple time. It's been a length of time since I last got a machine of some kind. That thing you see in the background is a little house that somebody sent Frida. You'll notice she is not inside it. We're working baby steps to get her used to it. She really doesn't like new things at all. And if she's anything like, I don't want to jinx it, she may end up loving it. But if she's anything like other dogs that I've had in my life, she's going to view any time away from me as a kind of punishment. So somebody is not happy. Actually, I'm starting to get a little unhappy hearing that noise, because that dog is saying that he wants to go back inside. And probably he has a very good reason. It's pretty hot outside right now. I'll have to, when this video is over, I'll have to check and make sure that he's not exposed to the sunlight. And if he is, I'll have to, put on my game face and go knock on a door and say, you're here, you work from home, you've been listening to your dog barking miserably for the last half hour. I'm here to point out to you that he has a reason for doing that. He's baking in the sun. Please take him inside or I'll call the police. We won't do that for the course of this video anyway. But so that's the tech update, is that I have taken all my Chromebooks out of storage and I am reacquainting myself with all of them to see if maybe one of them is my mother box and I just dismissed it too early before I perhaps buy another one. And also a literary update. I haven't given an AM reading update in about 12 years. I'm reading lots of things, of course, including the 2 books that I got today, which went right onto the reading pile. My mail is often my TBR. But I also want to show you this. I got this in an OGBG book war video a week ago, and I've been having a blast reading through this. This is the Pritchett Century, which is just it's a big collection. I think this was later adopted by the Modern Library. I think they did this, but this was the original publication, or maybe this was the UK publication. But this is to celebrate himself, V.S. Pritchett, who there he is as a dapper young man. There he is as an older man. He lived for about 300 years. That's average for Vulcans. And he read everything and wrote all the time. Wrote constantly. And I have a huge collection. The big, I think Random House did a huge collection of his collected essays. They also did a companion huge volume of his collected short stories. And I got the essay volume, and I go back to it all the time. The thing I love about Pritchett is that I won't even say that he wears his extensive learning lightly. That's the typical phrase that you hear. It's not even that. It's that he becomes a true believer when he's writing about an author or a book. I've scarcely ever read another author in one of the collected volumes that I have up on that shelf who is more likely to make you go right back to the author he's writing about. Scarcely read anybody that's that good. I don't know that he even intended it. I think you would only get this good at it if it wasn't your intent. So naturally, this thing has everything. It has excerpts from novels, it has short stories, it has letters, and it also has a generous chunk of the essays from that collected essays. And I've been reading those. I shouldn't do that. I should pay more attention to everything else in here. And I will. I very much like big sampler volumes like this. But I've been rereading with close attention, pencil in hand, his long essay on Sir Walter Scott, and it's just been great, just fantastic. I will pick around in here, but I will also make in the next few days I will make a concerted effort to read all kinds of the stuff that I would otherwise ignore. I seem to remember vaguely that his location writing, his travel writing, never really appealed to me, and of course I could take or leave anybody's fiction, but I'm going to give all the rest of it a try. So I'm very glad to have this, very glad to find it. That's the reading update. Of course, since it's only been a few minutes or a little while since I made my earlier video on all the videos that were made earlier today were made on the MacBook Pro, a 2013 MacBook Pro. That all of you have mentioned the video is acceptable and that the sound quality is really good. I'm curious to know how it compares to this. I know that this has a bluish tint, and there doesn't seem to be anything I can do about that, because if I add more light, it blasts out completely, and if I add less, the bluish tint I think remains even when there's less light. Curious about that. I will Google it and find out what I can learn. But in addition to all that, just to add what the BroTube YouTube channels describe as value, I have a couple of mail packages that I didn't have earlier today. So I thought we'd go through those. One of them's a box. So let's see what we have here, just so you don't feel like I'm completely wasting your time. What is this first one? Oh, okay, great. All right, this is a finished copy of a novel. I believe this is a novel, so I've been bashing this guy's profession. I shouldn't do that. Is this a novel? Oh, no, it doesn't say, it doesn't blare. Oh, yes, it is. It's a novel. Yes, this is Homeland Elegies by Ayad Akhtar. I think we saw an advanced copy of this. Now, what is this going to do for light? Does that make the book pop out any better? Or we get rid of it completely? It doesn't matter. Right now, since this is amateur hour here at the Steve Donoghue Show, I am adjusting the light because I have the drape for the window here in the little book room resting on the AC unit, which is in the window just in case I need it, or really in case Frida needs it. I don't need the thing. I don't know what I'm going to do when that's not there anymore. I don't know how I'll adjust the light there. That's how I'm doing it. But this is Homeland Elegies. Let's see what we have here. Okay, well, I've got 6 pages of documentary material. I don't need any of those. Oh my, though. Book List, Library Journal, Publishers Weekly, and Kirkus Reviews all gave this starred reviews. That's amazing. That's amazing. What a tour. The author won the Pulitzer Prize in Drama in 2013 for his masterful play Disgraced, about Islamophobia and the prejudices that, quote, secretly persist in even the most progressive cultural circles. Okay. Once upon a time, that would have been something. Once upon a time, that would have meant something, but they gave the Pulitzer to Dylan. So it is definitionally meaningless. Might as well say that his aunt liked his play. But I'm sure it was good. It doesn't sound like I would ever go to see it. A play that spends its entire running duration calling its audience names. No, thank you. If it's free, maybe. But since I'm betting it wasn't, since I'm betting it very much wasn't, I probably wouldn't. Now, in his sublime novel Homeland Elegies, he offers an incendiary portrait of Muslim American life in a fractured post-Trump era. So this is science fiction. This is set in a post-Trump era. There isn't going to be a post-Trump era in America. I wonder what the author is imagining. I also wonder if this is his first novel. Oh, good Lord. Look at the blurbs in here. Sigrid Nunez, Phil Clay, Joshua Ferris, Skata Mehta, A.M. Holmes, Salman Rushdie. Good Lord. Is this the author's first novel? He has written... No, he's written others. Okay. All right. Let's see what we have here. Do we have a plot? Tells the story of his parents' generation of immigrants from Pakistan and what happened to them and their American-born children in the 50 years they've called America home. What their collective fates reveal about how much the country has changed from the one that drew his parents here in the first place to the one they live in now. Okay, it says big as life on there that it's a novel. So why are we talking about his grandparents and his parents? Maybe this is autofiction. A massively popular literary fad in 2019 and 2020 that at least in part is designed to circumvent critics, to make these books critic-proof. Well, you can't criticize it. It really happened. Every single thing about it really happened. Well, then why are you calling it a novel? Again, you can't criticize it. So the aforementioned A.M. Holmes calls this an urgent, intimate hybrid of memoir and fiction. There's no such thing. There's no such thing any more than there's a hybrid of a fish and a goat. It's either fiction or it's a memoir. It's either something you're making up or it's something you're not. Okay, so, well, and all the rest of this is blurbs. Well, maybe the dust jacket tells us a little more than just I talk to my parents occasionally. A deeply personal work about identity and belongings in a nation coming apart at the seams, Homeland Elegies blends fact and fiction to tell an epic story of longing and dispossession in a world that 9/11 made. Part family drama, part social essay, part picaresque novel. At its heart, it is the story of a father and son in the country they call home. Okay, so if I call you an outlandish or deceitful memoirist, you'll say, hey, it's fiction. If I call you a ham-handed and unimaginative novelist, you'll say, hey, it's a memoir. The author forges a new narrative voice to capture a country in which debt has ruined countless lives and the gods of finance rule, where immigrants live in fear and where the nation's unhealed wounds wreak havoc around the world. Okay, but what was that business about post-Trump? Is it meant to say post the advent of Trump? The first part of the book is called Family Politics, and the first part of the first part is titled On the Anniversary of Trump's First Year in Office. So I don't know what that means. I admit, I'm now curious to know. Okay, you have a chronology that's taken from your family. 2016, Trump elected. 2018, I begin to write these pages. Okay, well, I mean, I don't need it to clarify its Linnaean taxonomy if it's good. If it's good, I don't need to do any of that. So, and I have the advanced copy of this, but I haven't touched it. So now I will. I will add this to the list of books today and see if you know, regardless of what category it falls into, maybe it's really good. And then we have the box. And then we'll call this little Lenovo N22 experiment concluded. So what have we got here? It's another finished copy. That's great. The more finished copies I can get, the better. What have we got here? This is an invoice? Oh my god, it's an invoice. Oh, we don't need that. Oh, fantastic. Okay. Okay, I don't have a pub sheet for this, but that's okay. Boy, oh boy, this looks great. This is Ricky Riccardi, and this is Heart Full of Rhythm, the big band years of Louis Armstrong. Again, we will adjust the light, see if we can get any better. That, no? That is what it looks like. The big band years of Louis Armstrong. So not a full biography, more like a performing biography, showbiz biography. Nearly 50 years after his death, Louis Armstrong remains one of the 20th century's most iconic figures. I guess he said his name Louis, didn't he? Popular fans still appreciate his later hits such as Hello Dolly and What a Wonderful World, while in the jazz community he remains venerated for his groundbreaking innovations in the 1920s. The achievements of Armstrong's middle years, however, possess some of the trumpeter's most scintillating and career-defining stories. But the story of this crucial time has never been told in depth until now. How interesting. Between the years 1929 and 1947, Armstrong transformed himself from a little-known trumpeter in Chicago to an internationally renowned pop star, setting in motion the innovations of the swing era and bebop. He had a similar effect on the art of American pop singing, waxing some of his most identifiable hits such as Jeepers Creepers and When You're Smiling. However, as author Ricky Riccardi shows, this transformative era wasn't without its problems, from racist performance reviews to being held up at gunpoint by gangsters to struggling with an overworked embouchure? And getting arrested for marijuana possession. Utilizing a prodigious amount of new research, the author traces Armstrong's mid-career fall from grace and dramatic resurgence. Wow. Okay. Fantastic. So who is Ricky Riccardi? Now I want to know. He's Director of Research Collections for the Louis Armstrong House Museum and author of What a Wonderful World, The Magic of Armstrong's Later Years. Okay, so he's done a biography of this same performer's later years. And he runs an online blog, The Wonderful World of Louis Armstrong, and gives lectures on Armstrong at venues around the world, including the Institute of Jazz Studies, the National Jazz Museum in Harlem, the Bristol International Jazz and Blues Festival, and the Monterey Jazz Festival. Fantastic. And he's co-produced reissues of Armstrong records, too. So this is one of the world's foremost authorities on Louis Armstrong, I think it'd be safe to say. Writing about one particular time. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Maybe a little blue. But the book is blue. I swear, it's not the Lenovo. The book is actually blue. So we have two books, a heavily autobiographical novel, and a story about one segment of Louis Armstrong's life. So great. Those are our books for today. We also have The Pritchett Century, which I am loving. I am slowly making my way through it, although I can't help but notice, in a kind of can't win for losing, that this book is also blue. And that is it. That is your sort of an extra video for today. An extra Megastuff video? I don't know. I'll figure it out. Let me know what you think of the video quality. I'm still playing around with all of these machines. I have a number of different laptops and Chromebooks still to use, and I will, in the meantime, research this blue business to find out what's going on and why this seems so blue, and B, make a discreet visit to a certain other dog. So leave my own dog and go and see what's going on with a neighbor. This dog doesn't like Frida at all, so I will leave her behind. He doesn't like her, and he's not entirely unjustified, because when she sees him, she yells at him to stand still so that she can poke around at him and explore him and sniff him. And then when she's done, All she wants to do is say hi to his humans. He's done. You can go. I don't want you moving around without my permission. I just want you to stand still and obedient and quiet while I sniff you. And then when I'm done with you, I want you to go off and make yourself useful while I play with your humans. Without you. I don't want you involved while I play with the humans. So it's probably understandable that he doesn't like her all that much. My poor little baby. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up and see how it uploads. I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.